to this really good spot where I was excited about, and somebody beat me. Somebody was there. You know, I went really early, 2 o'clock when the sun was setting at 7:30, and he was still there. So I think he was like doing an all-day sit or something. But I always carry my sticks. I always carry backup just in case, because when you're hunting public land, you know, heck, you could even show up and your stand's gone. You know, there's thieves out there that are taking stuff, or there's people that cut you off like that. And then there's these guys that will set up right on the trail to try, you know, take ownership of public land, which I don't recommend. That was just one of the situations where I couldn't hunt this spot and I had to go around and hunt a different area. So always take your gear, always take your stuff with you just in case. Don't carry the heaviest stand out there in the world, but take some sort of setup, even a small chair, throw it in the backpack just in case you have to hunt off the ground if you run into a situation like that. Get there, like today, the wind wasn't right, and I don't dare stand or sit rather in a stand and just pollute the entire area, because I guarantee every deer that's older than a couple years old is going to avoid that spot if you get winded. So just a real quick tip, always take your equipment out there, even if you have a permanent stand on public land. Also, another really quick tip, really good tip, I do this all the time. I didn't have a chance to set up where I usually set up, so I'm looking for a new spot. And of course I pop up the aerials, I take a quick look. But whenever you find an old tree stand, whenever you find one of those stands that are built out of lumber, something that's been there for 30, 40, 50 years, not that you're gonna get in the stand or anything, but just take another look at that spot. If somebody took the time to bring lumber out, that probably is a very good spot. And just now I sat over an old ground blind because it just looked good, but then when I seen that, that was the confirmation I needed. And I wasn't up for 20 minutes in the stand, and 3 doe ran right under my stand. About 15 minutes after that, a 6-point comes right under my stand. So, and it's early. I've only been in the stand, like I said, a half hour. One thing I started carrying in the last couple years was these bendy gear ties. And these things are quiet, they don't hold odor. You know, I usually throw 1 or 2 of these, at least one, in my bag because they can hold your quiver. I've used them to actually tie back branches. When there's a branch near me, I'll just take it and I'll tie it right back so I can pull my bow back and I don't have to worry about hitting that when at the moment of truth. I'll take my gear tie and I'll put it right through this, and then I'll wrap it around my tree stand seats. Now, these thermoseats are so inexpensive. They're just about 1 inch thick. When I hang tree stands on public land, I don't leave a seat. Some of those nicer tree stands actually have, you know, built-in seats. The ones that do, I like using those on public land and setting them up because, for one, nobody wants to steal them. They don't look good, and nobody wants to sit in them because they look uncomfortable because they're missing a seat. Well, this is what I'll do. I'll take this out. I always pack this in the back of my backpack. So this is what's up against my back. I'll slide it right down in the first pocket. And I always have one of these just in case I need to sit in a stand that doesn't have a seat. So when you're a saddle hunter, you either have to use knee pads or you have to use a tree trunk pad. You can thread paratrooper cord through this. You can use just a simple buckle strap, a plastic lightweight buckle strap, and thread it right through those paratrooper threadings, and you can wrap it right around the tree trunk. So, you know, those tree trunk pads cost $50. So this, I think, is $8. So I bought 2 of them this year. I'll strap into my tree stands, I'll strap into the tree trunks. And probably the best invention that has ever been made for deer hunters is the heated vest. The heated vest. You hit this little button. Where's the button? You hit that little button and you are instantly warm. In 2 seconds, you start to feel it. And it gets so hot that I actually like to wear a vest and then put the vest on over that, because you'll actually get burn marks if it's next to your long johns. You don't want it that close. but you want it to radiate through your body, and it's just terrific. You never get cold. Now your boots, you have heaters for those too. For years I used to use those hot hands in my boots. I don't use those anymore. Just like they have a heated vest, they have heated soles for your boots. And if you'd like to see more information, I can put a video up in the corner. I already did a video on the heated vest, and there's lots of different vests out there, but whatever vest you get, be sure to get the one that has a heated neck, heated chest, heated kidneys in the back. I mean, this is something that, I mean, you can put your hands in your pockets and feel the heaters, and you can stay comfortable. You can hunt for 6 hours if you wanted to. This year it's very special because it's a synchronized rut. So that means, if you're a moon person, you're not a moon person, this is still good information. And when you have a full moon out there, it's actually called the hunter's moon appropriately. And it either lands in the middle of October, right near the 1st of November, or 1 week into November. And these are called different things, a trickling, a synchronized, or a classic. And this year it's synchronized, which basically means the first 2 weeks of November is going to be incredible. And if it was a classic, that means it would land, say, November 7th, and you would have 1 week of bow hunting that's really good, 1 week of gun hunting that's really good, and then you have the trickling when it lands in mid-October, which it's kind of like hit or miss. And these moon theories come from research done on deer ranches where they're observing the rutting, they're observing bucks coming up to fences and drooling, and they know when these things are happening, they know when these things are triggering. Now, this moon guide information stuff isn't something that's going to actually affect me and keep me on the couch watching TV on a day that I can go hunting. I'm going to go hunting regardless. I'm just going to try different things, but this kind of information is always interesting. You're a passionate deer hunter just like me. That's why you're watching this video. And this kind of information, it's always going to be interesting. And it's just one more little bit of information that we can either get excited about, maybe plan our trip around. But this year it's a synchronized rut, which means, so we're all out, regardless if you're a moon guy or if you're just that typical deer hunter that, expects the deer to be bred on the same time every year. We're all in the woods at the same time this year, first 2 weeks of November. So today it's really windy conditions, and what do you do when it's super windy? Well, you want to set up on leeward sides, the side where the wind isn't as bad. Deer will congregate to this area, and you'll also find deer moving through saddles, moving through low spots in the terrain. This is going to be out of the wind. It's going to be nice and quiet. You really don't want to be in a tree when it's 20-mile-per-hour winds swaying back and forth. It's dangerous. If you don't fall out of the tree, or if your tree doesn't go down, another tree can go down near you. Windy conditions can actually shut down deer movement, so it's really important that you pick the right spots and just try to be safe out there. If you guys would like to hear more information on the rut, I did a video last year. I'll put it up in the corner, and it just talks about the pre-rut, mid-rut, post-rut, what you can expect, and timing and what goes into it. So if you go out to your stand and say it's the second week of November and you don't see any activity, it's most likely because of the lockdown, where a majority of the bucks and the does are in a secure area where the bucks have pushed these does into areas where it's absent of human intrusion. We're talking about swamps, cattails, all different situations. Heck, it could be somebody with a 1/4 acre with a little patch of woods. As long as it's absent of human intrusion, this buck is going to stay with this doe for the entire estrus cycle until she's done, and then move on and find another buck, or another doe in the herd rather. So this is lockdown time, second week of November, and that's why it just feels like where are the deer, because they're all busy breeding. So where do you set up when this is going on? Well, deer are in secure bedding areas, but they still need to find does which are going to be feeding. So again, bedding towards the morning, feeding towards the evening. But if you can find an area where there's a lot of bedding and there's a lot of feed, well, that's probably ideal. You can find a filter where one bedding moves into another bedding area, because they're searching for does, plus they're moving around with their doe. You may see a doe walking with about 30-40 yards behind her is a buck. Now, if you're talking about November 7th, November 8th, even into the second week of November, you may see some serious chasing where there's a doe that's running for her life because there's 3 bucks on her tail. So the biggest buck is going to get to breed that doe. Once she's ready and slows down, the biggest buck will push off the other bucks. And you know, sometimes it stresses these bucks out so much it'll actually kill them. So because they, you know, really try to make sure and fight off every single buck to make sure nobody breeds that doe but them. The grind happens every year, and I'll really start to feel the grind even as early as November 3rd. You know, most of the time I will wait to go after it really hard until the last week of October, only because I can get burned out because it's so exhausting to hunt every morning, every evening. You're basically working on, you know, you're sleep deprived, you're weak, your back is sore, your legs are sore from all the hiking, and you just have to keep going. Just remember to eat, remember to hydrate, because that can actually make your muscles even more sore if you're not drinking a lot of water. But try your best to just keep at it. Remember, this comes once a year. We're gonna have all the time to sleep in January, or December rather. So just try to stick with it. And if you're not seeing deer, if you're not into deer, you know, don't necessarily change anything. Of course, we don't want to overpressure our stands, but keep at it. Try to mix it up. You know, try not to hunt a stand more than 2 times in a row. Try your best to have multiple spots, because, you know, at one point you will meet up with the buck that you want to harvest. Right now, I'm kind of going through this. I'm seeing does and small 6 points and spikes, and this happens every year. You know, I think it was the second hunt. I want to say it was October 28th. I did see a nice 8 point. I was at full draw, and I didn't get a shot. I snort wheezed, he came back in, but he came back in downwind, because that's what they do. They circle downwind so they can smell what's out there, and he got about 20 yards behind some brush, and he smelt me and took off. But it was really close, but I just have to continue to keep setting up in these spots, and hopefully the right buck comes along. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any tips or tricks that you would like to share, please do that. I always appreciate anybody who takes the time to comment and share their experiences. So thank you so much. I hope you guys shoot a deer that you're proud of. Good luck out there, and we'll see you on the next video.